Welcome, everybody. It's another episode of the Token and Hobbs Show, a Road to Liberty podcast on the Think Liberty Network. How are you guys doing tonight? I am so glad you decided to join us live on a Tuesday night. I, of course, am your host, Token, joined with my partner in crime, Mr. Dustin Hobbs. What's going on, buddy?
Oh, it's just another Tuesday. Fun.
Peace and prosperity around the world. Everybody's happy. Nobody has any reason at all to be upset with anybody else. The world is just so perfect. We have nothing at all to talk about. What are two podcasters from the flyover country supposed to do in such a situation?
It really does seem like there's a lot going on in the world, and yet at the same time there doesn't seem to be a whole lot going on. Like, there's so much, and the news is just rapid fire, one thing after another, and yet at the same time none of it seems interesting. Like, I want to just sit down and talk about any of it.
Well, the primary reason for that, I think, is it's the same three things that dominate the news every single week, and it gets tiresome talking about them. It's always COVID's going to kill you, racial inequality and riots and crap, and Orange Man bad. That's the three big news stories that dominate the news every single week.
And wouldn't you know it, this week is exactly the same.
Well, wouldn't you know it? And that's the thing about it. Usually it's two of those that are in the news cycle at any one time. And right now it's Orange Man bad and COVID will kill you is in the news cycle for this week. Next week, we're going to get a new dose of riots and racial inequality and a whole bunch of people telling us that white people are inherently evil and need to shut up and let POC or whatever take over the world. I don't know. Something like that's going to happen. I don't know what's going to be the trigger for it next week, but it's going to be the way it is. I gotta say, and it is probably going to make people who want Donald Trump to win unhappy. I really do think that this week Trump lost his reelection. I don't think he has time to recover. I don't think he has the wherewithal to actually, or discipline to keep himself on track to win re-election. I think Donald Trump insists on making this election all about him, and that's a problem, right? Because I don't think people like Donald Trump. People don't like the guy, right? And so if they're thinking about him when they go into the voting booth in November, I think he loses. And I think this week especially, Trump has made everything all about him, and Joe Biden has been able to sit in his basement and not say a goddamn word. And that is going to be the winning strategy for Biden, because if he doesn't have to answer questions, if he doesn't have to come out of his basement, if he doesn't have to speak, he wins. If Donald Trump has to speak, he loses. And I think Trump is making that mistake right now.
See, I come from the exact opposite camp. I think that the hiding out in the basement and putting out a little 3 or 4 word tweet every now and again and just kind of letting time pass as far as Biden is concerned, I think that's the losing strategy. It makes him look scared. It makes him look weak. And on the other end, you've got Trump, who is, as seems like everybody is reminding me, is 74 years old, out of shape, under a tremendous amount of stress. The presidency, no matter who it is the most stressful job in the world. He literally eats like a raccoon. It's fast fast food and Diet Coke.
His fucking White House doctors must absolutely hate him.
Right. And yet he says he tested positive, said he was having some mild symptoms, went to Walter Reed, and 2 or 3 days later comes out saying, I feel great, still feel a little bit, but it's nothing that I can't handle. when are we going to keep going on the road with this? And it makes him come out as strong, and it also demolishes the last 6, 7, it's fucking October, it's 10, the last 10-month narrative that this thing is super deadly and you gotta hide it in your house and wear a mask and put on like a Tyvek suit with a forced air respirator to keep you safe and dress up like an astronaut on the moon or else you're going to get the Rona and die. And it's like, no, raccoon diet orange man comes out and beats it in a couple of days. And he's ready to start going on tours again and shaking hands and whatnot. So I don't know. I think it makes him look strong, and makes him look like even if he was feeling under the weather, he's willing to put his own personal comfort aside and get out there and do what leaders are supposed to do.
I do have to say I love the media's reaction to Donald Trump getting COVID. Like every step along the way, they find a new thing to freak out about. I mean, it's bizarre and mind-boggling how absolutely crazed the media has gotten with this story. Because he came down with COVID. He went to the hospital. He went on a short joyride while he was supposed to be at the hospital. He freaked out about that. I didn't see what the big deal was. Oh, dude.
In a car.
They went on a drive in a car. Okay, and now he's in the White House. Right? He had this big old entrance where he got on a balcony. He took his mask off and waved to the crowd. And my guys, there's some people calling this a Mussolini moment. Like, oh, this is what people in North Korea do. Like, this is what North Korea is known for, right? Photo ops with the president. This isn't exactly something that's new for Donald Trump. Presidents do photo ops all the time. I don't see what makes this a Mussolini moment. But I mean, you gotta say Orange Man bad somehow. So I guess Orange Man bad for that.
Yeah. You want to know how I know that Donald Trump isn't Mussolini or Kim Jong-un or any of these other dictators? It's the fact that you can call him Mussolini and Kim Jong-un or any of these other dictators and you're still alive.
Yeah, no shit. That's a pretty important distinction to make, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I keep being told that we're just around the corner from full-on dictatorship. It's kind of like the climate change hysterics. Like we're always 5 years away. Or the mysterious Iranian nukes. They're always 5 years away, right? Never here, always 5 years away. And it always requires immediate action.
Or climate change.
Yeah, the Iranian nukes and climate change and Donald Trump's impending dictatorship. It's always just around the corner. Just you wait. It'll be here before you know it.
Yep.
And that's not to say that Donald Trump hasn't done stupid shit to deserve criticism. It's just so over the top that it makes it hard to figure out what is legit deserving of criticism and what is just media hysterics. Like Donald Trump going back to the White House. I've seen people online complaining that, oh, when Joe Biden wins the White House, it's going to be infected with COVID. That's Donald Trump's strategy. He wants Joe Biden to go to bed in the White House and get infected with some infected bed sheets. Like, you fucking morons. What? You guys are going to sit here and tell me to listen to the scientists and you're the party of science and you're going to tell me that Donald Trump is going to infect Joe Biden, 3 months out?
Yeah, it's like this isn't like a smallpox blanket or something, It's I know it's going to be a great strategy. How about I intentionally infect myself so that I can infect Joe Biden? That'll show him.
What a loser. I was like, worst strategy ever. Not even gonna lie, but I mean, and it didn't bother me at all that Donald Trump went back to the White House. He got COVID. He went to the hospital, and the speculation is the funniest part. Everyone is pretending that they know how sick or how healthy Donald Trump is. And it's like, I'm looking at the guy, I'm like, he seems okay to me, right? I mean, if he takes a turn for worse, I'm sure we'll know about it in due time. But what's the point of the mindless speculation? And stop pretending that you care about the health of the president. We know you don't care. We know you're secretly hoping that the guy dies. Right? Just stop pretending that you're only interested because of the well-being of the country. No. You're staring at a potential train wreck, hoping the train goes off the rails, and commenting as you see it wobble on the tracks. That's what you're doing, right? You're waiting for the train to derail, and you're hoping it does. And you're pretending that you're doing it because you care about the passengers who are riding on it. But you don't give a shit about them. You just want to see a train wreck.
Right. This is like the media. I think the reason that they're watching with just so much intent right now is it's not because they care. It's because they want to be, whether it's, Don Lemon or Brian Stelter or any of the other bloviating assholes over at CNN or any of the other big news media, they want to be the first person in front of a camera to say, I told you so. If the president takes a turn for the worse, or, God forbid, dies this close to an election, because, you may not like the man, but anytime a president dies while in office is a terrible, terrible day just for the smooth running of the country. They want to be the first ones to be able to be like, oh, we told him he shouldn't have been out there at those campaign rallies shaking babies and kissing hands and doing all that stuff and being close to people. We told you so. We told you he should have been wearing a mask, and we told you that hydroxychloroquine was poison, and that's probably what killed him. It's like, shut the fuck up. You guys just want to be able to prove yourselves right. And I saw a comic that, Stone Toss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I don't give a shit what anybody says. I absolutely love Stone Toss comics. It was a 4-panel comic of shit that the media got wrong, where it was like the George Floyd thing, but he had a needle sticking out of his arm that said fentanyl, and then there was the Kyle Rittenhouse thing where the guy was getting shot in the chest, and then there was one other one, I forget what it was, and the one on the bottom was Trump coughing, and they're like please let us have this one. It really kind of it really bears some truth to that whole, he can't stop winning. He can't stop winning.
I really don't think he's going to keep on winning. I think he's in, and the whole Trump train is in for a hard awakening come November. But as of right now, it's kind of funny because he gets out of the hospital. Right, he gets out of the hospital and he makes this tweet about how we shouldn't let COVID run our lives, how we don't need to live in deathly fear of COVID. And here's the thing about it. Yeah, that's kind of true. That's absolutely true. You do not have to live your life in abject fear of this virus. So honestly, right, unless you're over the age of 75, you're not that much at risk of this thing. That's just a statistical fact. I'm sorry if you don't want to hear it. That's a statistical fact. It's not that deadly for young people. All right. So you do not have to live in abject fear, right? You don't have to be hiding in a corner, biting off your nails, worried that someone's going to walk into the room, come within 6 feet of you, and you're going to get COVID and die the next day. You don't need to do that.
No, right? 6 feet, you're safe. As soon as they get within 5'11", you're boned.
No, whatever happened to the days of we have nothing to fear but fear itself? Like, whatever happened to the days of people actually acted like men and didn't have to cower in the face of a virus that has a 99.7% chance of living through? I mean, honestly, whatever happened to that? Whatever happened to us to it being acceptable for a president to offer words of encouragement and optimism in a time of crisis, right? Is when you have nothing to fear but fear itself. Yeah, that was when FDR said that. Those are some pretty dark times where he needed to actually encourage people to not live in fear. And he told them that, hey, don't live in fear. That's not good. That's not healthy. That doesn't help anybody. And here Trump is going, you don't have to let COVID run your life. Oh, no! You can't say that. Then people might not live in fear. And we don't want that. We want people to be have their asses stuck in a couch in their home, watching CNN all day long, so we can tell them what they need to be angry about, what they need to be fearful about, and who they need to hate.
Yeah, and the thing is like if it would have went in the other direction, if he would have been like, hey, you know, I've got this and it was pretty bad, so maybe you guys should take some precautions, they would have accused him of fear-mongering. So, you know, he comes out and says, don't fear, don't let it run your life. Oh, he's downplaying this. This is insulting to everybody who's lost someone. And if he would have come out and said that it's something serious, they would have accused him of fear-mongering. It's just, you know, whatever they want to read into it.
Here's the thing about it, though. Trump is terrible when it comes to optics, right?
Oh, yeah.
He is not a disciplined human being. He's a human being that automatically thinks whatever idea pops into his head is a good idea. And damn whoever tells him otherwise. I mean, this is one of the reasons he goes through staff so quickly. Is because there's nobody else on this planet who is Donald Trump. There's only one of them, and he's it, right? And when people have disagreements with him, strong disagreements, and don't kick his ass, he has a tendency to turn on them rather quickly. Right? Yeah. Remember, this happened to Jeff Sessions when he recused himself.
He does like his sycophants. That is true.
He likes his yes men and his ass kissers. That's what Trump absolutely loves. And it's a funny thing, too, because he wanted Jeff Sessions. Why can't I say his last name? Sessions. Jeff Sessions. He wanted him on his staff and got him, and lost a Senate seat in Alabama because of it. It's absolutely hilarious that one there. That seems like ancient history now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Ancient history. But yeah, he likes his sycophants and he likes his ass kissers. So whoever is running his campaign, whoever's giving his advice, knows they have to just kiss his ass and do whatever he says and go with whatever idea he has. And this is where Donald Trump's grand entrance to the White House came in, right? When he had that moment, he got on the balcony and he took off the mask and he waved to the crowd, which I didn't mind, but probably not the best optics in the world right now. But also, he shot a video near the Washington Monument where he is clearly in very close proximity to other people. He's not wearing a mask. Like, again, these are very bad optics right here. And he is known to be infected with COVID. So what are you doing, Trump? Why are you doing that? Why are you giving the sycophantic media more ammunition to use against you? And you know what? They're not entirely wrong in this case. They're not entirely wrong there, right? Because he is infected with COVID. He is supposed to be self-quarantined. He's not supposed to be hanging out with other people and breathing in their faces. Hell, you wouldn't do that if you have the flu, right? You meet someone in the street, they say, oh, I'm sorry, I got the flu. You go, whoa, the fuck away from me. I don't want the flu. Don't come near me. It's like you wouldn't do that with someone who has the flu. Why would you do that if you have COVID? Like, come on, Trump. Seriously, you are just shooting yourself in the foot, and you do this all the time, and that's probably going to be the primary reason if he loses in November why it happens. Because the guy has no discipline. He can't let the spotlight go on anybody else. It always has to be on him, right? And he's a big orange buffoon. And that's the problem with him. He's a giant orange doofus. And I just can't imagine him shooting himself in the foot this often and getting away with it in November.
Yeah, it's but you know, at the same time, I kind of have to also wonder about whether or not he actually had it or not. And I'm not, getting on the weird conspiracy theory bandwagon that a lot of people like Michael Moore and whatnot were on today and yesterday and everything, and say that, oh, he's just lying about it because he thinks it'll help him. No, I'm saying that the fact is that the tests that they use on these are called PCR tests, and PCR tests are, let's just say, they have kind of a high degree of false positives because they measure qualitative, not quantitative. And what I mean by that is that they just measure whether or not you have fragments and the RNA proteins of the coronavirus in your system, and it's not necessarily COVID-19. It's protein fragments of coronaviruses. So pneumonia or the common cold or influenza. These are all coronaviruses that would pop hot on a PCR test. So maybe Trump had a mild case of pneumonia. Maybe he had a cold or something. Popped hot on the PCR test, went to Walter Reed, had a schedule of various antivirals and whatnot, walked out the next day. Everybody thinks he had the Rona, when in point of fact he did not.
I would imagine that they wouldn't tell the entire world that the president has COVID-19 unless he actually did. That would be an oversight of such monumental and unimaginable importance. Can you imagine telling everybody that a 70-year-old president who's a big fat ass and drinks like 5 Cokes a day got COVID-19? Because let's face it, Trump is in an at-risk group, right? He's not a spry 25-year-old, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably not in as big a risk as Joe Biden is, but he's not. This guy is not exactly a professional athlete, right? He's a big.
What are you talking about? He was in WWE for a while there. He kicked Vince McMahon's ass.
You know what? I forgot all about that. I rescind my last statement. Donald Trump, please don't sue me. You are indeed the greatest athlete to ever live.
The best, possibly ever.
I mean, all these NFL players, they got nothing on me. Okay. I mean, and that's the thing about it. I would not think that they would tell the whole world he has COVID-19 unless they were absolutely sure that he did, unless it was Trump just jumped the gun. I mean, would it be such a huge shock to anyone if he got like a preliminary test and he just like, oh, let me tweet out immediately, I got COVID, guys, COVID, it's in me.
Yep, and that is entirely plausible as well, because he did tweet out that he had it at like 1:30 in the morning.
Oh God, that would be the absolute. Trump has made a lot of dumb tweets. A lot of dumb tweets. I mean, people say there's always a tweet for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, because there always is a tweet, because the president does not use his brain before he tweets. He's like sitting on the toilet. It's 3 a.m. It's like, you know what? This will be funny. Fuck you, CNN.
Go Fefe.
Like he's sitting there deciding what's going to be the big story of that day, because he knows whatever he tweets is going to be the big story of the day. So he's just pulling the mainstream media's leashes left and right. He's like, I got COVID. Send.
Yep. That is also entirely a possibility.
Got you, you stupid fuckers.
This will really fuck with him. Send.
Like I'm just picturing Donald Trump having this whole thing planned. It's like It's okay. Everyone, like his advisors, they all meet with him right then, right there. Like, what the fuck did you do? Why did you tell everyone it's COVID? He's like, relax. I got it all under control. I go to the hospital. I say I have COVID, and then I have this huge coming home party. I'll come in the helicopter. I take out my mask. It'll be amazing. And they all just have to go with it because he already sent the tweet. It's like, well, we can't take it back now. We have to make everyone think he actually did have COVID. And we can't deviate from this madman's plan, because if we do, he might just tell everybody it was a big joke. Because he might just do that because he's absolutely insane.
I do it for the lulz.
I mean, half the time, I really do think he does these things just to troll. Like, he is the troll in chief. This guy, he just loves yanking people's chains. But I really do. It's going to catch up with them. And I want to talk about some recent polls that have been coming out from various swing states and from nationally about Donald Trump's chances of beating Joe Biden. And let's make something absolutely clear here. There is no reason why an incumbent president should lose to a senile old fool like Joe Biden. There's no reason at all why Donald Trump should be losing to Joe Biden. But every single poll out there is indicating that he is. And I know. Oh, the poll said I would lose last time. I know. Right? But Donald Trump was down by like 3 or 4 percentage points 4 years ago against Hillary Clinton. He wasn't down by 16, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't down in every single swing state. And most of these swing states, it's not even like it's a back and forth. Like, one poll says he's winning, one poll says he's losing. They're pretty overall consistent. And I saw another poll today that said that 90% of likely voters are 100% locked in on who they're voting for. So there's only like 10% who are undecided, right?
If that, and that's the crazy thing.
Like, I got a call from a national pollster the other day, right? I'm an undecided now. Why? Because they asked me if I was voting for Trump or Biden. I said no. Now I'm an undecided. Right? So almost 10%, they could be going third party, and they could be hard third party. Right? They could be voting for Joe Jorgensen or Howie Hawkins or wherever the hell the Constitution Party is running, or whatever independents out there running on the ballot in all of 2 states.
Yep.
Right? So, but they're counting all third party voters as independents, because of course they're not going to put third parties on the polls that they need to be on in order to get into the debates. Ugh, such a frustrating thing. But yeah, they're only 10% of voters consider themselves undecided at this point. And I want to go through some of the swing states to show you just how big a gap there is, and just how much ground Trump needs to cover if he wants a prayer of winning. Right now, okay, Florida, Joe Biden 47.8, Donald Trump 45.6. Not an insurmountable number, right? And they're both down from what they were just a week ago. But that's still 2 percentage points. That's a lot. Pennsylvania, Biden 49.7, Trump 44.1. Ohio, Biden 47, Trump 46. Michigan, Biden 49.8, Trump 42.7. North Carolina, Biden 46.9, Trump 45.5. Arizona, Biden 47.7, Trump 44.8. Wisconsin, Biden 50.2, Trump 43.6. Iowa is the only one where Trump leads. He leads at 46.1 to Biden 45.7. And the overall numbers nationwide, Biden 49.8, Trump 41.5. And I've seen some polls that put Biden up as much as 16 points. That's a lot, guys.
Yeah.
That is a whole lot. And I know the polls got it wrong 4 years ago. I know. This is known. But my God, guys, you can't just ignore that. At the very least, it's good to acknowledge that Trump has a lot of ground to make up on and not a lot of time to make it up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He
Yep.
needs more debates with Joe Biden. He needs those debates to happen, and he has to have a better showing than he had last week.
Yep.
More showings like last week, not going to do it. Not going to do it for you. All right? I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. You can't just stay up there for an hour and a half interrupting Joe Biden the entire time. Can't do it. And I know a lot of people complaining, oh, well, he was debating Chris Wallace half the time too. And like, yeah, he kind of was, but he kind of also deserved it because he wouldn't shut the fuck up. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I know Chris Wallace inserted himself into that debate. I know he's not supposed to do that, but at some point I couldn't blame the guy for it. Because he's trying to moderate a debate. He's trying to give them both equal speaking time. And Trump won't shut his stupid face for 5 seconds. And like, that's the thing. You want Joe Biden to speak. Because when he speaks, when he's forced to speak, he comes off as a big idiot. So why are you interrupting him all the time? Let him make himself out to be a big idiot. But instead, you got to put yourself out there and make yourself the stupid idiot. Like, what?
Yeah, but I mean, the thing though is that a lot of the times when Trump was interrupting him, and that was the thing that I took away while I was not only while I was listening to it, but also when I listened to a few other recaps of it, is just about every single time that he was interrupting Biden was to correct the record on something Biden said that, wasn't even out of context. It was just flat out wrong. It was just a lie.
Nope.
And then he gets, Chris Wallace comes in and interrupts him, and he doesn't get a chance to rebut the lie. And the media's out there reporting it the next day that Biden said that he said X, Trump tried to refute with his own lie, and it's all just a media manipulation.
I will say that the most frustrating moment of the night for me was, and Joe Biden, he's done this multiple times since the debate, was when Joe Biden was asked about court packing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you, yes or no, going to support court packing? And he straight up says, I will not answer. Will not answer. I'm like, that's important. That's kind of a big deal there. He's like, well, whatever answer I give, that's going to be the narrative. I'm like, you're running for president. We need to know this. Are you going to pack the Supreme Court if elected?
And that's a big deal.
It's a huge deal. That is probably the biggest deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Besides the question of will you step down if you lose the election? That's a big deal. Will you concede if you lose? That's a big deal too. But the court packing thing is absolutely huge because I guarantee you, if you pack the court, if Joe Biden wins and the Democrats take the Senate and they pack the court, then no Republican state's gonna obey anything that comes out of the Supreme Court.
Well, there's not only that. There's not only that, but you also run the risk of having the fact that even if they would recognize any Supreme Court rulings from here on out, that you will never have a Republican president ever again, let alone an independent or a libertarian or anything like that. I mean, I'm willing to bet that they would finagle the courts to make it so that third-party ballot access would be a thing of the past without some ridiculously crazy criteria to meet, So if you pack the Supreme Court, in addition to the other things that they were wanting to do, which is make Guam, Puerto Rico, and Washington, D.C. officially states, which would add 6 more obviously Democrat senators into the Senate, you'd have one party rule from here until Boogaloo.
Well, you can't say that word, man. Haven't you heard that Facebook is purging libertarians, and you're going to say that word that shall not be said?
Yeah, but there is always the possibility of an October surprise, and our buddy Dennis Grace over here in the comments section says something that's very interesting that I hadn't heard. It says Trump just issued a full release of all Hillary email documents and Russian probe shiz. I hadn't heard anything of that. I'd be willing to listen to any information that he might have. He is, of course, running in this state as well. We wish him luck.
Absolutely, and they I think it's Senate Democrats have also consented to having an investigation done on Hunter Biden because these accusations because you remember during the debate, Trump was like, "Whoa, why is Hunter Biden taking all this money from the mayor of Moscow?" And Biden's like, "Oh, that's totally wrong." Refuted. Like, no, it's not. Like, no, that shit's true.
It's 100%.
Why are you telling me that's not true, Joe? and why aren't you being held to account for this? Why aren't you having your feet held to the fire on this case? Why aren't you having your feet held to the fire when you say that Antifa is an idea, not an organization? Holy shit.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane to think that they're getting away with. Oh yeah, everybody, this is my boy. This isn't a toy. This is an actual small human. Say hello. That's Rex.
Hello, Rex.
Yeah, so he's getting all fussy over there. But yeah, and that was what I was talking about. When Trump would interrupt Biden, it would be a lie like that. Talking about how oh, that's refuted. That's been completely debunked and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, it hasn't. You're full of shit, dude.
Yeah, you're just saying that. It's not right. That's a total lie. Why are you saying that? And it's kind of a funny thing. Because that's the thing about Trump. He's such a big buffoon. He can't help himself but step into obvious traps that are laid out for him, like that the white supremacy question, right? The thing that everyone was freaking out about. Will you denounce white supremacy? Yeah. Sure, but will you do it?
Sure, well,
yeah. Sure. It's like, but you see that he stepped into the trap. He stepped in the trap. He said, sure, but he said it while Chris Wallace was asking the question, so it kind of got drowned out. Mm-hmm. And then after that, he's just kind of like, what are you asking me? Who you wanted me to? I don't know. What are you even saying? I don't know what he's saying. It's like, I understand the frustration because he has denounced white supremacy before many, many times.
Yeah.
Right? This is not me being a Trump apologist. This is me being truthful, let's say. Right? That's the word for it, right? Truthful. When you tell truth. Yeah, Donald Trump has denounced white supremacy many, many, many times. This is an objective fact. Right? But he didn't say the words on the debate stage while everybody was looking. Right. And that's the real thing about it. Right. That's when he really needed to say it, because that's when everybody was watching. And that's when everybody can see it for themselves. If he would just said, yeah, white supremacists, they're all retarded. They're all assholes. They're all idiots. And I hate them all. Are we done with this now? Is that it? Are you going to keep asking me this stupid fucking question? Say that. Right. You can be dismissive and contemptuous of the media at the same time that you answer their stupid question. Like, oh, you want me to denounce white supremacy? How about this? All you white supremacists out there, you're all horrible. You're all lowlifes. I hate you all. You're all stupid, and you're all retarded, and you're all fat, and you're all going to die of heart disease. Just say that. And then be like, okay, CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, LA Times. You happy now? You got that? You going to stop asking me this stupid question? That's really what he should have said. He's like, this is a dumb question. You keep asking me it every 5 seconds, no matter how many times I do what you want me to do. You keep asking me this stupid question. So let this be the last time. White supremacists are stupid retards, and they should all go die of heart disease. Right?
Yeah, but
and all you guys that never ask me this question again, because I just told millions, hundreds of millions of people what you just wanted me to say. I just told that to all the millions of people who are watching this debate. So you can never get away with this stupid lie anymore. All right? Yeah. I'm never answering this question again. You all can shove it. Next question. That's
yeah, but if he would have done that and said it in that strong of language, the next thing that they would have done would have been like Jake Tapper or fucking Chris Cuomo or any of these other idiots on CNN be like, yes, but he may have denounced white supremacists, but did he denounce white people? No, he did not.
But did he denounce Nazis? But did he denounce the Aryan Brotherhood? We need to be very specific about this.
Yes, we need a collated list from the Southern Poverty Law Center and the ADL of every single white supremacist organization active in the world, and he needs to go one by one down the list. I denounce the Aryan Brotherhood. I denounce the Ku Klux Klan.
Meanwhile, Joe Biden can't even denounce Antifa.
Yeah,
they're just
an idea. Man. Come on, man.
They're just an idea, right? An idea that sets fires and murders people.
And has very well organized tent camps set up behind privacy walls and abandoned parking lots with generators, and has sympathetic district attorneys that are letting them back out in the streets in a revolving door. Yeah, totally just an idea, totally not organized at all.
And you know this excuse. I'm sure you've heard this excuse. A lot of people have said, "Oh, well, they don't have a board of directors. Who's the CEO of Antifa?" Like, okay, fine. They're not one organization. I'll give you that. They are many, many, many organizations that all call themselves Antifa. Right? Yeah. And before I hear someone say this, oh, Antifa stands for anti-fascist. So if you don't like them, that makes you the fascist. Like, okay, well, Nazi stands for National Socialist. So all these people going around calling themselves Democratic Socialists, congrats, you just called yourself Nazis. How about that?
Yep, that's the way it seems to work. You know, that is I'm going to say the dreaded B word for the second time, but that's very, very much the same way that they treated the Boogaloo movement a few months back. You know, the Boogaloo movement, unlike Antifa, is very much an idea. There was no leadership. You know, there were a few high-profile influencers, a few well-known voices, a few well-known symbols, and the people that created those symbols. But as far as an organization like a 501c3 or having a CEO or anything like that, no, it was an idea. It was the thought that trouble is coming to this country and we're going to prepare and we want to get this country back on the track. That was the Boogaloo movement. Antifa, on the other hand, is very much an organization because they have funding, they have nonprofits, they have communications channels, and some of the stuff that I'm getting from some of the people that I talk to is they're setting up intelligence networks, they're setting up private encrypted servers, they're dealing with people in district attorneys' offices in progressive areas that have a lot of shady money that's gone into getting some of these sympathetic people elected into these areas. They've got travel funds, they've got bail funds. So if you could tell me that that's not an organization, that that's just an idea, blow it out your ass. You're wrong.
I mean, we all saw the video from the Louisville riots after the Breonna Taylor, after the grand jury let off the cops that murdered Breonna Taylor. They drove in a U-Haul and brought out all the riot shields, the signs, the everything that you know, and a good Antifa protest needs.
Yeah.
Right. And here's the thing about it. Here's the thing about it. That had to be organized, right? There had to be a group of people that were organized enough to get that all that stuff ready to go. And they knew that it was pre-planned, right? It had to be pre-planned. So yeah, that's when you have a group of people who are organized to do events like that. That's what you know what you call that? You call that an organization. That's what that is. It's not an idea. Ideas don't do that. Ideas don't take action. People do. And when people organize in order to take action, that's called an organization. So yes, Antifa is not one organization. There are various cells, right? There are various different small groups, all of whom call themselves Antifa and all of whom are organizations. Every single one of them. Sorry. And when all those organizations are openly using communist symbolism, sorry, that's a communist organization, right? You don't see a lot of Antifa cells waving Gadsden flags and saying "Don't tread on me," right? That's not what they are. They're not just against fascism, because guess what? Libertarians are against fascism, but you don't see a lot of these Antifa groups with libertarian symbolism. It's all communist symbolism.
Yeah, quite the opposite. You oftentimes see a red flag with the black fist clenching the Gadsden snake, saying "We will tread." You know, so not only are they not, you know, syncing up with the American / constitutionalist / libertarian philosophy, they are actively signaling that you will get up against the wall too.
Yeah, liberals get the rope too. That's what they say. Liberals get the rope too. And if you think that that libertarians aren't on their hit list, you got another thing coming, because they don't like libertarians anymore. And guess what? They don't like left libertarians either. Sorry, they don't. You're not going to survive the purge that comes after they, if they ever take power. You're not going to survive the purge. They're coming for you too, right? The Soviet Union did not leave the left anarchists alone. Those guys got put up against the wall, and they got shot. Right? They did not simply let the left anarchists continue on in their workers' utopia. All those guys got the rope too, right? They hung the liberals first, and then they came for the left libertarians.
Yep.
That's just how it works. That's how it works. It's funny. I keep seeing a lot of these prominent, I guess you can say, within libertarian circles, these left libertarians continuously talking up Antifa, like what I'm saying is not true. Like I don't know how many of these people you've interacted with, but the Mike Shipleys of the world, the Aaron Gosses of the world, that fat fuck. Oh my god. It's funny. I made a meme making fun of that guy, and one of his buddies messaged me like a fucking cuck. He's like, "Oh, I see you body shamed my friend Aaron Goss." And I took one look at that mess. I'm like,
damn right I did.
Yeah, I did. Yo, I made fun of your friend. Sorry, I'm not sorry.
Stop being fat.
Why are you messaging me? Why isn't he bitching me out? Well, I know why he's not bitching me out. It's because he doesn't want to look weak. He doesn't want to be like, oh, I don't want to be that guy that messages the guy that make fun of me. So I'm gonna have my friend do it,
and thus look even weaker.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That or he was too busy like cope eating.
Yeah, he's at the Golden Corral right now, shoving crackers into his face or something. He's He's at the ice cream machines because he's got his face underneath it. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, for all those people that are like that are talking up Antifa, it's appeasement. If you sit there and appease this crocodile thinking that it's going to eat you last, you're still going to get eaten. You're just going to get eaten last. These people will never get their fill of violence until they get the world that they want to create. And the weird thing about these communists, these neo-Bolsheviks that we have running around in places like Portland and whatnot, is unlike the communists of the past, the original Bolsheviks, who had kind of a concrete plan of how they wanted to set things up and an idea on how to get there, these idiots that are running around in Portland and Seattle are on this weird mercurial social justice, completely subjective, minute to minute. So wherever you stand on the progressive stack is going to change from day to day, and you could be a stalwart ally today, and you could be public enemy number one because they lynched all the white people yesterday. You don't know where you stand because it's always changing. It's not just the workers versus the proletariat anymore. It's fucking whoever is the oppressor today.
Yeah, and I've compared this to the French Revolution in the past, and it really, really bears a very strong resemblance to that. Here's the thing about it. The old Bolsheviks that took over Russia and created the Soviet Union, a couple things about it. One, they were very well organized, and they were, let's just say, like people like Lenin, they were very smart, very intellectual. They had a concrete plan. They had a concrete ideology. It was wrong, but here's the thing about it. There was no way for them to know it at the time. They didn't have 100+ years of history of failed communism to look back on, to realize that their ideas were bad, right? They all had some very strong ideas. They all thought they were very intellectual and very scientific. Turns out that they were wrong. But that doesn't mean they weren't intelligent people who didn't have an intelligent ideology. Just they were wrong, and they didn't have 100 years of history to show them how wrong they were, right? So they honestly could, in good faith, think that their ideas were correct. Now, all these communists running around now who have 100 years of abject communist failures, their entire ideology is built around ignoring that history. They are anti-intellectual. They are not smart in the least bit. These people's entire ideology requires them to ignore the lessons of history. So they're just going around burning shit and making up idiotic things that don't make any sense whatsoever.
What are you talking about? That wasn't real communism.
Oh, right.
They don't have 100 years and 100 million corpses to look back on and see that they're failures. That wasn't real communism.
No. You know what? You're right. My bad. The USSR, China, North Korea, Vietnam, Cambodia, Cuba, all of Eastern Europe, parts of Africa, Angola. None of those were communists. Not a single one of those tribes were actual, real life, legitimate communism. They were just posers. Mm-hmm. Or my favorite, the CIA just made you think that they were bad. Like,
yeah.
You got to love that. Like, oh, yeah, the CIA did all that. The CIA made us think that the USSR was bad. As though communist nations don't have their own intelligence agencies with their own propaganda units. No, only America is good at intelligence, apparently. We're the only ones that are capable of it.
Right, and they're so good at it that not only did they convince the Western world that the USSR was a shithole, but they convinced the USSR that the USSR was a shithole and caused it to collapse.
Yeah, so, the CIA is way more competent than we give it credit for, apparently. I mean, it couldn't have just been that. I mean, here's the thing about it. Even after the USSR broke up, all those Eastern European countries, they could have kept communism if they wanted to. Not a single one did, except for what, Moldova? Is that the name of the country? I think Moldova is the only one that kept a semi-communist system in place. And $10 for the if you guys know, well, if you guys can look at a map and point out where Moldova is, then congrats to you. But I bet that none of you can. It's not exactly the most well-known country in the world.
It's definitely not in the G7.
No, probably not. Probably not. All those Eastern European countries, Poland, Hungary, the former Yugoslavia, Belarus, Romania, Bulgaria, all those countries could have kept communism if they wanted to. Not a single one did. Doesn't that tell you something? Doesn't that tell you something about the viability of communism? When if people have a choice, they reject it.
After having lived through it.
Very, very interesting. You think that people will take a lesson in history, but apparently they don't. Okay, let's talk a little bit about our shop before we go. We got a lot of good. This is the personal favorite of a lot of people. The Boog Girl shirt. A lot of the people that like our shirts, this is their personal favorite. $20. I don't know why it says 22, but they're $20 a piece. We got quite a few. There's our Road Celebrity branded shirt right there. We got all kinds of good stuff. We got Joe Jorgensen shirts. We got a coffee mug. All that good shirt, all that good stuff. Go to Liberty.com to buy those. Excellent, excellent items. And we could really use the help, and we'd really appreciate it if you guys would go to Liberty.com and buy a little bit of merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Oh, I didn't talk about a book of the week last week when we had on Kokesh. I'm not talking about one right now. I don't have a history one for you guys. A lot of you guys might know I am a bit of a fantasy nerd. I love fantasy novels, right? They're very good. And I just finished reading the third book in the Gentleman Bastard series. This is an excellent series. It's all about a group of thieves who call themselves the Gentleman Bastards, and it's set in a fantasy world that is based upon Renaissance Italy. Like the entire world has a series of city-states, and it's all the names, all the locations are very reminiscent of Venice, Florence, Pisa, all those old Renaissance city-states, and it's an excellent series for anybody that enjoys fantasy. Very well written. Characters are absolutely amazing. The first book in the series is called The Lies of Locke Lamora, and Locke Lamora is the main character of the entire series, and it's all about him pulling off an insane heist. It's kind of like Ocean's 11 in a fantasy setting. All right, so if you like those kind of heist stories and you like fantasy, then the Gentleman Bastard series, absolute must for you guys. Check it out. They're amazing. Couldn't recommend them enough. That's it for this week. You got anything else, Hobbs, before we call it a night?
I think this Friday I'm going to have Justin from Bearded Liberty and TBL on. I've sent out a few emails, haven't got any replies yet for new and exciting guests. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks I'll have a couple of new faces to showcase. Didn't have a show last week because I just completely spaced it out and fell asleep on the couch. New baby. I'll blame it on him. Other than that, I think the only news article that we didn't go over that was kind of important was the fact that McAfee finally got hemmed up.
Oh yeah, they finally got him.
Yeah, that's sad.
Got him up on charges of fucking a whale. No, wait, no, that's not what it was. But that would be funny if it was. Didn't they get him for tax evasion? That's what it was?
Yeah, like $50 million in tax evasion or some shit like that.
Man, they really should have nominated him for president. They would make the perfect libertarian candidate.
Yes, absolutely. I think that just for the ratings alone, the news, mainstream media would want to have him on the debate stage.
His slogan should be I don't pay taxes, and neither should you.
I think you're onto something there.
That would be perfect. I mean, presidential candidates have been in jail during the election before. This is not like something that's never happened before. So we have had presidential campaigns conducted from jail in the past, and we can do it again. Nominate John McAfee 2024.
There you go. Sounds like a pitch if I ever heard one.
Man's got my ringing endorsement. Oh, before we let go, I did do a subscribers only interview with Connor Dragotas yesterday. It's going to be up on the main feed this coming Monday. But for the next week, it's for subscribers only. It's in our Green Tavern Inn subscribers only group. So if you guys want to see the subscriber only interviews that we do, go over to our Facebook page and become a subscriber. Really help us out and really appreciate you guys that do it. All right, that's it for us, guys. Thank you very much for joining us this week. I'm Token, joined my buddy Hobbs, and we are